Hey everybody, it's Rockula, and I'm here at the post-apocalyptic movie set, the Mad Max Thunderdome movie set here. And it's time for me to talk about a subject again, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to start talking about a subject. I'm out here, first of all, doing an update for my Patreon supporters. So the first half of this video was for my Patreon supporters with all my updates and my plans and the things that are going on in my life. So please try to subscribe to my Patreon, and you'll get lots and lots of interesting content that the public doesn't get to see. But to kind of entice people in, I'm going to start doing little soliloquies from the Thunderdome over here about general subjects. So today's subject is going to be minimalism. Now, being a musician, I've lived a pretty minimalist life most of my adult life. After I got kicked out of basically my father said, okay, you just graduated high school. Are you going to go to school anywhere, college, trade school, any of that? And I said, no, Dad, I'm going to be a musician. He said, get out. So I had a van at a time. Oh, God, I missed that van. The F-150 Econoline van from Ford. Just a box on wheels. I loved it. And I could fit everything I owned in that van, including all of my drums, some furniture, my clothes, all of my toys that I collected and were left over from, So everything that I owned could fit in a Ford van, and then I had some extra shit that I'd, put up in the attic at my parents' house. And as my life progressed, I stayed the same. I stayed mobile. I tried not to stay in one place for too long or sign any long leases. And I pretty much tried to be in the least expensive situation that I could. I mean, I've lived in closets. I've lived in bathrooms. But all of that has been to serve one purpose, and that is living my life on my own terms. Now, people can say, oh, I made a lot of money. When they die, somebody can be on their deathbed and they can say, I made a lot of money and I accomplished all this stuff. But for me, it seems like a lot of people make a lot of money just so that they can feel like they accomplished something and so that they can buy things. And it made me come up with the idea the other day, and I'm sure it's not an original idea, but there are people who earn money to buy experiences, and there are people who earn experiences. I'm one of those people that earns experiences because, yeah, I financed my own trip to Japan, but I didn't buy those gigs. I didn't rent sound houses, none of that stuff. So basically, when I went to Japan, the people that came to see me wanted to see me. They weren't there because I rented a place that they just happened to go to. So, I also think that a lot of people are miserable because they are average, ordinary people, and they see other people living lives that are not average and ordinary. And so what they do is they go and earn money to buy experiences. They earn money so that they can have a car that makes people jealous. All that materialistic stuff. And I'm okay with that. If you want to do that, that's your business. But it's just like, to me, all of that is like a giant boat anchor. So let's get back to minimalism again. Minimalism isn't just your possessions. Minimalism is I hate to use a cliche, but it definitely is a way of life. Minimalism is like, for instance, right now, this is 16 ounces of coffee and 16 ounces of almond milk, and with a big old squirt of locally produced honey. 32 ounce drink. If you'd ordered this at Starbucks, this would cost like $7, $8, maybe $10. I don't know, that much. But with me, this cost maybe $1.50, and that's a lot of liquid refreshment there, kampai. And it goes down to making your own food, making survival food, learning how to make a lot of small amounts of things last a very long time, including money. Which, I've always had a long stream of Joe jobs where basically I'm just trading my time for money, and I don't have to care, and I don't have to really try that hard. And that's why I love Uber Eats, by the way. I just drive around and listen to music and put Kung Pao chicken on people's porches. But, minimalism means limiting the amount of things that you're responsible for. For instance, I am unmarried, never been married. I do not have any children. I do not have any debt. The only debt that I have is I keep a minimum $500 balance on my credit card, but that's just so that I can keep a good credit score. I don't buy anything unless I save up enough money to buy it. Basically, buy it with the credit card and then have enough money in the bank to pay off that credit card. Up to $500, of course, sorry. So, and then minimalism also seeps into your life in other ways. Like when it's cold outside, all I drink is black coffee. No sweetener, no milk, no nothing. And I drink water. I used to drink a shit ton of sodas, which rotted my teeth out and made me fat. Now I just drink carbonated water because I realized I like the burn more than the sweet. And if I want sweet, I'll eat an orange or something like that. And so minimalism also applies to your stimulus. I mean, how many people, if they're drinking something, how many people have to have something that tastes like something? Instead of just drinking water, they have to have flavored water or soda or this or that. And so what that means is that you're constantly stimulating your brain with stuff like sugar or salt. And then how many people can just have a quiet moment? You either have to have the TV on, you have to be looking at your phone, or you have to be listening to music, but you have to have sensory input all the time. And one of the things that I've realized about that, me personally, is that starts to get like kind of, I hate to say drugs, but like the more you get used to it, the more you need it. I mean, I got to the point where I was drinking like a 2-liter bottle of Coke a day and not drinking any water. How the hell did we live like that? None of us drank water when we were younger. It was like Cokes. You drank water if you ran out of Coke at the restaurant because there was a glass of water in front of you. So, limiting the amount of stimulus in your daily life can help you a lot. Okay, speaking of limiting, I'm gonna limit my movement here. So limiting the amount of stimulus that you have in your life gives your brain room to like see other things that you don't really notice because you're too busy occupying your brain with other things like drinking sweets, sweet stuff, watching TV on your phone, or going to your social media or listening to music. Because if you don't just give yourself a little time to think, your brain really you need to clean out your brain. And the only way to do that is just to kind of chill out. There's a reason why people meditate. I don't necessarily meditate, but I will say this, when I exercise, I don't listen to music anymore. I used to, but now exercising is a time to contemplate and kind of sift all the crap out of my brain that's been building up all week or since the last time I exercised. So now my life is at a point where I'm probably the most minimalist that I've ever been. When I moved to Minneapolis from Dallas, I had a pretty decent amount of stuff, and then I found out that I was getting a minivan instead of getting a full-size van, so I had to leave more stuff behind. So everything I own fits in a minivan, and it means that I can live anywhere that I want to, and I don't have to work my ass off to support myself in a place that's more expensive than I need. Currently, I'm renting a room for $500 a month. I am renting a rehearsal studio for $300 a month. I bought my car with cash, and it's a minimalist car. It gets really good gas mileage, but it looks like everybody else's car, and who cares? It doesn't go vroom vroom, and it doesn't impress girls, but whatever. The insurance on that, it's like $100 a month. And then, with my minimalist cooking schedule, I probably don't spend more than $1,000 a month on living costs. I mean, my big vice is eating crappy junk food, and shit, that's like $12, $15 a pop now. So they agree. So yeah, minimalism. Again, start trying to think about the things that you can do to cut out extraneous things in your life. For instance, even if it's something that's like really connected to decadence, like you've got subscriptions to Netflix and HBO Max and this and that, you've got all these subscriptions and stuff. Why don't you try just using one? Try going on YouTube for free. I don't pay for anything. I go on YouTube or I go to pirate sites. And I try to watch stuff that's educational as much as possible. I don't know how much education you can get on the internet nowadays, but you know what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that I'm smart and I only watch educational programming and shit like that. It's just that I try really hard not to watch stuff that basically sells us back our own pain as entertainment. I'm not a big fan of reality shows or stuff where basically it's like you're celebrating other people's suffering, and I really don't go for that. But yeah, again, back to the whole thing about minimalism. If you can limit the amount of things that are happening in your life, then you have more room in your brain to figure out what makes you happy. Now, of course, when I say minimalism, I'm not talking about some of my more successful friends who never have time to see me because they're either gigging or teaching or working. That's not minimalism to me. That's a full life, But, just try to limit the amount of things that own you, like possessions, relationships, all of that shit. try to limit the amount of things that you have to bust your ass to pay for all the time, like an obscenely expensive apartment, you know, a unnecessarily expensive car, you know, all of that shit, jewelry, clothes. There's nothing wrong with wanting to look good, but, you know, there's also a point where you're basically just spending money to cover up your misery. And most people don't realize that misery a lot of times comes from shit that just complicates your life too much. So, yeah, minimalism. It's what the kids are into nowadays. So, yeah, that's going to be my rant on minimalism. And so next, I've got a couple other topics that I want to talk about. One of them is how I'm trying to stay Zen Rockula, which is, you know, part 2 of minimalism. And the other one that's really, I really got to get my thoughts together on this next one is the topic of bullying. So this isn't going to be your standard bullying speech, you know, but I do need to get my thoughts together on it, and it'll probably be in the next couple of posts. But yeah, if you can, please subscribe to my Patreon, become a Patreon supporter, or you can also support me on various platforms like Venmo and PayPal, and I'll put all those links in the description below. Plus, you could also consider buying a t-shirt from me. I've got the original The Ramone t-shirts. I've got the Ramone Japanese tour shirts. I've got the Ramone and Sister Paul shirts. And I also have multiple man shirts. So I can get any size printed up that you want. So just get in touch with me. Once again, patreon.com or rockulaproductions@gmail.com. And again, you can get me on, mostly I'm under Rocky the Ramone on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So yeah, I'd like to hear back from you if you have any suggestions on what you'd like to hear me talk about next. And yeah, I'm Rockula. Thanks for watching.